Welcome back to WaadaWeekly, episode 2 of our effort to do a weekly roundup. We did first episode, 3 weeks ago, Sanjay, and after
Two
that
and
we
a
have
half weeks, yeah. We should name it fortnightly. No, let's try and do it weekly.
but we are doing it. We are doing it. Still lots cricket going on, and we all love cricket. So we'll talk about variety of things today. Firstly, how are you doing, Sanjay, and how did your 2023 start?
Busy as always. Work generally is busy, and cricket. There's so much cricket happening. Unable to keep track of it, but a lot of good things happening. Women's IPL, Under 19 World Cup, then some bilateral series here and there. So yes, busy in on every front.
So what we will do today, we'll talk about the WPL, which is Women's Premier League as it is called now. We'll talk about BBL, Big Bash League. West Indies have some developments about bringing in a big name to coach and mentor. Pakistan have a creative way to bring their coach, so we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Under 19 World Cup, which had been in the news in the past. Switch over to Australia Women versus Pakistan Women series. They had an ODI and a T20 series down in Australia. And then we will wrap with basketball in one-day cricket. Our goal is at least to try and bring something to you. We may not bring everything. So why don't we start with Women's Premier League? Men's IPL started, Sanjay. There was a huge pressure on BCCI of when Women's Premier League will start. And this is a pretty historic moment in cricket.
Absolutely, huge moment in the women's game. I know, as we've discussed in the past as well, the Indian board was seemed lagging behind against the likes of the English board, the Cricket Australia, who their domestic leagues, and in general, women's cricket in much more healthier state there. But yeah, in the last few years, our girls have done really well, and everyone in the world has been crying out loud for the biggest market to have. Really happy to see five franchises going and buying five teams. So we'll have five team WPL and five foreign overseas players. And what timing? Maybe it's just the right thing at the right time. The under 19 girls have won the World Cup, but huge moment in cricket because the amount of money that's gone into the media rights, the franchises, how much money they've paid, it just augurs so well for all the girls involved. I think a lot of great stories are going to come up in the next 2 months of absolutely from nowhere people have got life-changing amounts, and it can get no better for the game. So yeah, really happy that the Indian board has finally gone ahead and done this. So I'm sure it'll go from strength to strength.
Bear in mind, since 2018, the BCCI has been staging a 3-team women's T20 challenge, right? Which was popular, but we needed a full-fledged Indian Premier League. 5 franchisees have been confirmed who contributed to $572 million. $572 million. And the inaugural IPL of men's, Sanjay, bids came in for $723 million. So this is not a bad start at all for the first ever women's Premier League.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people have been taken by surprise, the amount of money that's been sent, because there's no guarantee that the viewership will be as will make up for the numbers. So I think some franchises have obviously taken a punt with depending on how the media rights has gone, and in the next few years how big a product this could be, brand value, etc. And some of the existing franchises for the men's team have taken this up. And I'm sure it'll work, and I'm hoping it works well for the women's, because worldwide you've just seen the amount of good press this has got. All the international women's cricketers, they are talking about some of the men's leagues are not as half as big as the WPL. So yeah, huge moment in cricket.
And there are 5 franchisees: Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, and Lucknow will be the host cities, and a total of 22 games will be played in the inaugural season, with the top-ranked team in the league qualifying directly to the final, and the second and third place teams will battle out for the place in the title clash. Each team will have a purse of 12 crores, Sanjay, at the players' auction, which is expected to be done, I think, in the end of February. People are still contemplating will that overlap with the Women's T20 World Cup? But a maximum of 18 players in the squad and up to 5 overseas players, including one from associate nation, will be allowed to play in the 11. So not 4, 5 overseas. So what do you think of the format?
The format's pretty good. Obviously, there are less number of maybe women's active cricketers available. Maybe that's the reason why they've gone with 5. Maybe if the Indian, women's cricket scene gets stronger in time to come, they might reduce it to 4. But I love the idea of having one associate, nation player involved. Plus, the Indian cricketers are also allowed to play in other leagues. So it can only be a good thing that they're able to reciprocate and get more international players in the league. It'll make them much stronger domestically. So I'm sure all the experience they can get from the international cricketers would be great, because the best players are from England and South Africa. So they would be in huge demand come a few weeks time.
And Jay Shah has been trending off late on Twitter, announcing things over things, which is great. But not just the players. There's Women's Premier League will also fetch a lot of jobs for the support staff and coaching facility, utilizing ex-players like Julian Goswami and Mithali Raj have already got contracts about being a mentor and coaches. Opportunity galore, not just for the players but also from support staff. W.V. Raman, who's been associated with women's game for a long period of time, comes back in. It is a perfect segue to focus on under 19 Cricket World Cup. Timing, luck, you can call whatever, but it's an inaugural under 19 World Cup. India absolutely, except for one game versus Australia, they had absolutely thrashed opposition. So your take on how the tournament went?
As you mentioned, it's probably written in the stars how 2007, the inaugural T20 Men's World Cup, India had won. 6 months' time, you had the IPL. This time, it's the Under 19 Women's World Cup. Our girls have done really well. Some of the standard of fielding, bowling, etc. is very, very good, very watchable. Everyone is going to get a definite contract in the WPL. I mean, you can blame BCCI for a lot of things, but I think they do a fair job of passing the money and trickling it down to a lot of the associations, and eventually, it helps the sport in the country. It has done for the men's team, definitely. So I'm sure all the ex-players and the players we've not known of, they've gone by. They will start getting more involved in in media, in the support staff, coaching, etc., and it'll be great. So I can't wait for the WPL to start.
Outcome of the Under 19 World Cup. If you see the senior women squads across the globe, Australia are unbeatable. And unfortunately, Australia didn't make it to the finals. They lost it in semi-finals versus England, the close game. It was an India versus England final, which also tells that not just Australia, other setups and other countries are also starting to invest in young talent.
ICC tournament under the belt. Let it be the women's, under 19. So what? But we've been so starved of an ICC, tournament victory that I think anyone will, happily take anything we get. So definitely, great start to 2023, and maybe good things to follow in the rest of the year with the men's.
And our good friend Ronak Kapoor from ESPN Cricket Info was a commentator and also a presenter for Under 19 World Cup. It was pleasing to see that he's taking a different role, and I must say that he's done a fabulous job in commentary, and also his enthusiasm, energy.
Yeah, and as we know that how he got his job in Air India, used to do commentary on radio, etc. So obviously he has that talent of doing not just the presenting aspect but the commentary. So I'm sure in times to come he might get a nice little IPL contract here and there, or some bilateral series. We'll start seeing more of him. So yeah, good luck to him. Good job.
Let's go, Ronak. Want to see you in IPL?
Yes.
Awesome. So we will continue to stick to women's game for a second, because there is another international bilateral series going on between Pakistan women and Australia women. Australia women are hosting. They played 3 one-day internationals and scheduled to play 3 T20 internationals. Guess what the scoreline was, Sanjay? 3-0 Australia on ODIs. Absolutely one-sided. and in T20s it was 2-0, and the third game was a washout. But how good are these Aussie teams? And with T20 World Cup around the corner, squad they have got, Meg Lanning is back. Elise Perry picked up the form and momentum from India tour. They seem ever strong. Pakistan, I felt bad looking at Pakistan women because one, yes, they would want to practice in such an international big stage, but they were no match to Australia.
Yeah, Australia is just way too strong. Australia and England are way too strong for the other teams. India's and maybe South Africa and some of West Indies are doing reasonably well, but yeah, Pakistan team. I mean, I think they'll be happy that they're getting this experience. There's a viral video of one of the Pakistani players just in awe of one of the Australian Liz Perry or someone else, and exchanging thoughts about the game, etc. So it's great experience for them. But yeah, I think they've still got a long way to come up to match in the likes of England and Australia. But considering a lot of the other things that like international cricket hasn't been there in Pakistan, I'm not sure whether they've started going and the other teams have started going and touring Pakistan. But yeah, I think it'll take some time for them to try and match. But I'm not sure. Do you think the any of the Pakistani players will be allowed in the WPL? That'd be a big question mark, right? Be a nice gesture to have it, but unlikely.
It'll be hard to see any Pakistan players appearing in either men's or women's. It's unfortunate, but that's what, when we go back to 2008, the inaugural edition, we've seen Afridi play. It would be fascinating, but I think India defense minister or home minister, I don't know what the role is. That gentleman clearly made the point that no ties between India and Pakistan, especially when it comes to cricket. So unfortunate, but so be it. And I've read on Twitter, I think it was Gurkirat Singh, who also was on our show, mentioned that all credit should go to Ramiz Raja for getting the women's IPL up and running, because he had made a statement a couple of years ago that he will start a women's Pakistan Super League before India does, and probably that fast track India to do something and pull that together. So people were making fun and giving credit to Ramiz Raja.
From both perspective, I think, considering the money it's fetched from a media rights and franchise perspective, I mean, you can't blame them. I think the timing's just about right, maybe. We've seen some of the women's international games, how they've been sold out, albeit it was free. So I think there's a lot of anticipation in what the women's game can deliver. So, good luck to all the girls involved.
From Australia, let's go all the way to West Indies. West Indies, never a dull moment. Brian Lara to assist West Indies as a performance mentor. And he will work with the international teams, with Boards Academy, and also serves as head coach of Sunrisers Hyderabad in IPL. And the last test series West Indies had in Australia was 2-0, not long before they crashed out of the T20 World Cup, and Nicholas Purum stepped down from captaincy. So there's lots happening in West Indies cricket. Do you think Lara will have a role to play in resurrecting?
Well, it's a tough one. It's such a sad, part of our lives that, during our lifetime we've probably seen the peak of West Indies, and now they are effectively nowhere to be seen apart from all these freelance players effectively, going around and making a great living for themselves around the globe, playing different leagues. So, I mean, Lara, the player that he is, his job would be cut out. Whether he can deliver or not, from time in times to come, it'll be a big question mark. So, I mean, I wish him good luck, because we need a strong West Indies team one way or the other, at least in the limited overs format, because Test cricket, it's completely different. There are hardly, apart from 3 or 4 teams, there's not much, economic sense for a lot of the boards to play it. But T20s and, ODIs, I'm hoping that they can consistently make it to the World Cup and, be there as a strong team. So Lara has got a very, very tough job ahead.
Yeah, he did say that he's got a lot to offer to the team, and he was part of that 5-member committee which West Indies had put after they crashed out of the T20 World Cup to look at what suggestions to me. Though few might argue that there is no track record of Brian Lara from a coaching point of view. Time will tell what happens, because it's a big year for likes of teams like West Indies and South Africa, who are struggling to keep up with the one-day international qualification for the World Cup. And West Indies are at a mercy of South Africa, who's doing extremely well. We'll come to them. But it's a big year. Hopefully, Lara can make the difference. And Jimmy Adams, who's part of the board in West Indies, is hoping that West Indies will have some sort of a respite. Even on the Under-19 World Cup and women's cricket, they're struggling of sorts right now, West Indies.
Yeah, and then a lot of people do not appreciate. I mean, we've obviously spoken about in the past that West Indies is like a team of Asia. You've got 7 different countries effectively, so maybe the love of playing for the country is not as big as if they were maybe having a team of Jamaica, Trinidad, different teams, etc. So it's probably a difficult job any which ways, even on good days, to have a good strong team without having those pressures of different countries effectively. But with the history and legacy, all you can hope as a cricket fan is that they can bounce back, and you consistently have a very good team and deliver a lot of great players that they've done over the years.
So from West Indies, now let's get back to Pakistan. There's some cricketing news there. Mickey Arthur, who helped Pakistan win 2017 Champions Trophy. If Indians will remember that painful finals, that's the trophy I'm talking about. And Mickey Arthur is set to be appointed as a Pakistan team director. And he's going to work remotely, Sanjay.
Yeah, I mean, once that news came out, I think a lot of people are interested. I mean, when was this job advertised? Because a lot of people would want to do the coaching remotely, and there's some extremely clever memes that are going and doing the rounds. But yeah, Mickey Arthur, I don't know. With Ramiz Raja going, new management coming in, I think they're going back to the old ways of having Mickey Arthur. Sarfraz Ahmed is back. A lot of the other players might come out of retirement and start playing again. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fascinating to see how this online, online thing works. I'm sure he'll travel with the team as and when, but he might do a lot of the work remotely. Well, whether that's effective or not, well, times ahead will tell us. But yeah, it is fascinating always to see what happens with our neighbors. On field, off field, you never a dull moment.
And Sami was on our pod, right? You and I hosted him a couple of months ago. He did mention, though, to his credit, that Mickey Arthur, Sarfaraz Ahmed, these two have shown quite a lot of strong leadership in Pakistan, and somebody like a Babar Azam or Shadab Khan, succession plan. So hopefully that difference continues to have an impact. And we've already seen the contributions of Sarfaraz Ahmed in the Test series, which has gone by, versus New Zealand, where his contributions. He almost won that last Test match for them on the last day.
Yeah, and then to be honest, the Pakistan team is not doing badly at all. If you look at the limited overs, they made the final of the T20 World Cup. They made the final of the Asia Cup T20 as well. They consistently do very well. They've won an ICC tournament more recently than India. I think it's the Test matches which is they are going backwards, I think, which is a big concern for everyone playing Test cricket. But limited overs, I think they're a very, very strong team, and with the World Cup in the subcontinent, I think they'll have a very, very good chance. So Mickey Arthur back in the mix, Sarfraz Ahmed and a lot of the other players coming back, I think things might look upwards for them.
So from Pakistan, let's go to Australia for a few seconds, because Big Bash League finally after 56 games is coming to an end. There are 2 more games left. One final. Perth Scorchers are already in the final, and then there is an eliminator or a challenger, as they say, between Brisbane Heat and Sydney Sixers. Sydney Sixers has Steve Smith, who has surprisingly gotten into a fantastic T20 form, back-to-back T20 hundreds.
Big difference this year obviously has been that they decided to finish their season early. One is obviously because they have the Border Gavaskar tournament coming in, but also that allowed for their own international players to feature in BBL for a very good part of the season, which is huge. So that's one very big positive. We saw some of the crowds in the matches against South Africa. One is it was very one-sided series, and 2, the crowds were not great, but BBL seemed to be doing really well. Steve Smith's form has taken everyone by surprise. You see the likes of Joe Root not getting a contract. I mean, he finally got it this year, but Steve Smith, Joe Root, those type of players have never been a big commodity in the IPL. But Steve Smith getting back-to-back 200s and almost strike rate of 180 is brilliant. So maybe that'll be him done for this year with all his form exhausted in the BPL. So he can have a lean patch in Border Gavaskar Trophy. That'll help us. But yeah, great. Great to see BBL doing really well, and all the Australian players featuring in it regularly, because there was a time where David Warner would feature on all the IPL games, but he would rarely play a BBL game because it clashed with their Australian summers. So I think that's where most of the international boards are trying to get their T20 domestic leagues featuring right in the middle of the summer, at the peak of the summer during the holidays.
From Australia, we are now going to take you to South Africa, and we promise after South Africa, we will send you home. I know you have done a lot of world tour today with us in the past 20 minutes or so. So the reason why we are going to South Africa, Sanjay, England are touring South Africa and having a horrible time over there because South Africa, Temba Bavuma and his team have thrashed England 2-0. The series is gone, but there is lots to think about for white ball cricket source World Cup champions.
That obviously 5 losses in a row, and that's the first time it's happened since that debacle in 2015 in World Cup around that time. So yeah, it's quite surprising because it's not that England are playing badly. It is very surprising. I was surprised that they lost both the games in the second ODI. They scored almost 350 and then still lost. So it's telling us something that I think the teams might in future start going even harder. 350 looks to be like 250 of 90s. It's no longer a winning score. It'll set you up in the match very well, but I think more and more teams will fancy their chances. But great for South Africa. They were desperate to win the series because they let go of the Australia series because they wanted their SA20 to feature right in the middle of the summer. So they let go of that. It is interesting that England have lost so much, but I still rank them very, very highly, and I still think that they would be one of the favorites going into the the 2023 ODI World Cup in India.
And like we promised, we are going to send you home because enough for today, Sanjay. We do have SA20, which we never covered, but hopefully that's a part of episode 3. Stay tuned. But Sanjay, thanks very much. There is lots going on, I'm aware, but the amount of cricket which is happening, our goal is at least once in a fortnight, try and get you 30-minute bite-sized information about what's happening. So hopefully you like it and give us some feedback and comments as to what else you would like to see or hear. Sanjay, for folks who are watching, we are nearing 900 subscribers. So a little push for us to get to 1,000 subscribers will be fantastic. Whenever you drop a comment, you do know that we read every single comment and respond back to you. Thanks for watching, and Sanjay, see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.